July 2022 update for the garden. Here's what we call our tea box. Right now it only has peppers and some basil growing in it. Behind it's a closer view of the pole beans. See a little bit of scarlet runner beans in there along next to the tomato plants, as well as one of our wildflower beds here. Over here the telephone pole peas are all done for the year, so I've ripped those out and I'm getting ready for another fall planting of peas. In this box the caseload peas are all done and I've replaced them with pole beans and some cucumber plants. Here's a view down the middle of the garden boxes, and you can see now that the covering is starting to hold tomatoes and pole beans. Here is a volunteer tomato plant. This is an Amish paste tomato. It's suspended right now in the air with some string and a couple cheap tomato clips. Once the plant gets tall enough, I'll weave it through the trellis and then get rid of the clips and string. Over here you can see the first noodle bean of our season. It's got quite a bit more to go before it's ready to harvest, but it's always exciting to see how they come. Right here is what the flowers look like. Usually we see about 2 of those little white flowers, and the ants really like to investigate them. This over here is a pole bean flower. And you can kind of see how these pole beans are going to be just going right up above me here as I walk through the garden trellis. This board here is used to be able to get into any of the garden boxes and lean against it to pick anything that's out of the way so I don't fall down. It's easy to pick up and move around. So say I wanted to get back here and pick some tomatoes that are real low. Just place it here. The boards offset the little strange gap I have here. It goes all the way across. And then I can lean against it and then get up close to anything I need to pick. These are some of the sunrise bumblebee tomatoes from Baker Creek. They're getting ready. Finally starting to ripen up a bit. They seem to be pretty prolific. And they're doing well with the trellising. In the background there's some Chinese noodle beans. They'll be looping up here again. To the side I have some Amish paste tomatoes in this box. Some of the Uzbek carrots, which were free seeds this year at Baker Creek. And over here there's some lettuce in various stages, all ready to go. So here's one of our pepper boxes, and you can see some of the companion plants, the flowers. I have marigolds and then elysiums planted there. It's a multicolored green bell pepper, and they seem to do really well in my area. So I'm going to keep working on these peppers over the next couple years. Behind it is some more of the Amish paste tomatoes right here. And you can see these have already been weaving up and down the trellis, and I'm using some cheap tomato clips to fasten them to the metal structure, and it seems to be working out really well. I actually need to get up here today and rip off the suckers off the plant and continue trellising them with the tomato clips. In the background, the pepper plant that's kind of in the middle of the screen there is a habanero plant. It's got maybe about 10-15 little peppers on the bottom of it right now. Over here to the side are some cherry bomb peppers. Those are ones I got at the store. It's my first year growing those. And here you can see some pole beans going up and down the cattle panels. Really like to weave up there. And it provides a lot of nice shade in here. I get enough sun in that the peppers are happy, and it seems to give enough shade too that I don't have to water quite as much as I used to. This is the green peppers. You can see how thick the stalk is. It doesn't really need any kind of trellising or anything like that. It's looking really happy. Got some flowers developing in it still, so that's a good sign. But no real peppers yet. But these had a late start. Here's a cherry bomb pepper. This one hasn't turned color yet, but I picked one earlier today that was a nice red-brown color. Looking forward to trying these. Some of my friends really enjoy them. Now these, I've staked them up too with bamboo, and I have another style of clips I use for that. Experimenting with different ways to help support them up in the air. So I'm using bamboo, tomato clips, and also strain. Space tomatoes are starting to look really beautiful. And you can see they just kind of hide all over in this plant. And with the way this is all structured, I can pick from both sides and then still have room inside the garden, you know, if I want to plant some beets or carrots or something else. If I look down here, I can see some jalapenos developing. And here's some more of the sunrise bumblebee tomatoes. They seem to develop a nice little clusters. This parsley is the first year I've grown this. This is from Baker Creek. It's doing very well. This is already our second or third cutting on the plant. It did seem to attract a large caterpillar, looked like a hornworm, but it was pretty easy to remove and get rid of there. The herbs in this box are doing really well. They're really taken off after the past couple of rains we've had. Some oregano and thyme in there. The marigolds, I got these at local hardware store. They were all on discount and they're marked down clearance aisle. They're all like $2, and I believe these are French marigolds. And they were looking really pathetic, and I gave them a nice watering with some rainwater and then planted them in the garden, and they took off. This box was full of peas and yellow onions earlier on in the season. I've harvested both the peas and onions, and I'm getting this box ready to do a fall planting. This box here had Egyptian onions in it. I've harvested the onions already and saved the bulbs. And I planted in some miniature varieties of butternut squash in it. And they seem to be really happy right now. And over here in the side of the box, I got some lettuce I planted. So I think I'm going to go ahead this week and pick all that lettuce. This butternut squash is getting ready to flower, and you can see the male and female flowers here. So I believe these are the males that stick up. And then the ones way down at the bottom, those will be the female flowers. I'm not seeing any sign of damage so far from squash beetles. When I planted these in here, I buried them as much as possible so that make it a little harder on the beetles. But they are doing really well. I'm happy with them so far. The wildflower box has really taken off, and you're starting to see some nice sunflower development in there as well. The whole purpose of this garden box here with the wildflowers is to attract pollinators and provide food for native birds. The amaranth is doing really well, and we're starting to get our first signs of flowers. So you can really kind of see how tall these things are getting. And they come from the tiniest little seeds. A little bit of pest pressure here on the Amaranth, but the plants seem to be doing pretty well. Our strawberry harvest is really slowed down here as the heat came in, and the raspberries are about done for the season. Japanese beetles have really gone to town here on the plants. I think next year I'll have some Japanese beetle traps out. Had a little bit of pest pressure here on the new rhubarb plant, but other than that, it seems to be doing okay. I've got some volunteer tomato plants in here that I need to probably put a cage on here or remove. I'm a little curious to see what type of tomato they are though. Had a little bit of pest pressure here on the sweet potato plants. So if you're ever curious, this is what the seed pods on a milkweed plant look like. Milkweed got done flowering a couple weeks ago here, and I was hoping to see some monarch butterflies, but I've only seen one this year. Last year we had hundreds of the things. But what you want to do is you wait till these pods dry out. They'll get nice and brown here in fall. And you can pick them, and they've got a nice fluffy seed in there that you can go plant. But I like the idea of keeping these around to help with the butterflies if we can. Over here you can see some of the raspberries that are hanging on to this plant over here. I might need to get those picked. Looks like some of the last remaining milkweed seed flowers here. Some asparagus still hanging on. Here's the only surviving ground cherry plant I have. And my problem this year, I think, was cross between bug damage and just having way too much shade for these. I think these want really to be out there with full sun. I got some volunteer flowers here in the permaculture bed. This is a wildflower box we planted here. It's all from seeds. Here are some of the Amish paste tomatoes growing on the back of the trellis. As I walk down here, you can see they're just all over the place. Look like they're going to be very easy to pick. And the squares on the trellis are much bigger than what I've done in the past. And you know, you can fit your hand all the way through them, and you don't have to worry about the tomatoes getting crushed, you know, in between the middle. These paste tomatoes can really become monsters here. Just look how big they are. Looking up here, I really need to get these pruned and fastened to the structure before they get too much bigger. There's a little bee. Here are some Concord grapes. Really need to get the plants trimmed. We grow them mainly for a privacy shield. You know, it makes the fence, chain link fence look nice.